Melanin. So I really quickly just wanted to jump on and answer some of the questions that I have been seeing that are being tweeted about my interview with Piers Morgan. And there are a couple questions that I wanted to answer for people in case I never ever get the chance to on another interview. And I think that the problem in this world is that we really do tend to rely on media sensationalism to give us the full story. And you have to understand that the television and the entertainment world is really in the business to entertain and to create a type of buzz around them. And so what ends up happening is a lot of times people who go on to these shows, things are kind of put into their mouths. I never said I was trans species. In fact, that doesn't make any sense because elves are not another species, not in Old Norse legends or Ireland or Scottish legends or around the world. They are always described as humans that have ethereal qualities to them and they have a little bit of magic to them, but they're humanoid and they very much could be visitors from another planet, or they could just simply be another expression of the human self that we have not really tapped into the potential yet, but we are beginning to. And so I think that that word transspecies is something that I think we need to really look at because it's becoming a very kind of sensational buzzword to get people's attention, and it gets people's emotions really kind of riled up because people then think, oh, well, they're saying they're not human. No, we are human, but it makes us different. It makes us unique when we can attach another identity to ourselves, and that really enhances our livelihood. So I have a couple questions that I wanted to answer because I saw them flying around on Twitter. Are we mentally insane? That is the first thing that you'll jump to, especially when you see it from the media standpoint and you don't really get to know the person. I am a YouTuber and I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a teacher in real life, and I decided to create this channel in order to help humans out of their own suffering cycles and their pain that they're in life. And I do it through inspiration of the fairy world and also through more of a dream of uniting people together and showing kind of like a futuristic world that is more peaceful and harmonious for people. And I also like to teach about the elves of Tolkien because their psychology and the way that they live and the way that they act, both in the books and in the movies, really truly do show a more evolved type of personality. And it is far more of a wiser being than we have humans acting like on Earth today with one another. So my theory is that if humans evolved into their elven selves and they acted like high elves, then we would have this world that we always wanted to, and a lot of us are really waiting for. So no, I'm not mentally insane. I am deliberate and I am a strategizer, and I am taking on this identity that is deeply who I am. It's very authentic to who I am. If you knew me in person, all my friends, they always thought this of me. My father always said this. I have one foot in this world and the other in fairyland and spirit world. So I have always been like this, and so this was just my chance to really come out and to help others come out as well that may feel alone and kind of isolated in the way that they are. So I just hope that people don't just jump to the first conclusion, oh, she must be crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have a deliberate movement towards helping people and helping them find their higher selves, their higher elves. Second question, are elves trans species? Well, no, because Tolkien said that they were connected to men and to hobbits. And also in the ancient legends, we never see any kind of indication that they're more animal-like rather than human-like. They've always been described as human-like, and during the kind of the Renaissance and even the medieval times when elves were becoming very popular, they always were described as human, and their pointy ears were really never really talked about, but they were more like the nymphs of the forest. And so a human that takes on this type of quality, they can be very much like a nymph, and they really don't have to be kind of the animal type of version of the elf that we think of. And so you can think of it that way. You really have to know your kind of elvish and fairy lore and understand that there are so many different types of elves and fairies out there, that they are not all animal looking. Like sometimes people think of like the blood elves in World of Warcraft, where they have these huge ears and they almost look like foxes, or they look like they can be a certain type of animal with really large ears. And so I think there's a lot of room to understand what the elven soul could be like. I mean, I have very small little ears, but they are definitely a little pointed there. But it's really not about the ears. It is about who you are as an elemental soul on earth, and how connected you are to nature, and how much you may feel very different from humans. I'll tell you one thing, and this showed me same thing that I felt in my past, is that I never really fit into society. I never really kind of jumped on the bandwagon with humanity and laughed at the same things or partook in the same things. And I see that happens a lot, like especially with my interview, people jumped on, oh, she must be crazy. And they instantly followed each other. And I've never been like that. I've been always somebody that kind of observed things and looked at humanity. And I never thought that I was, better or higher in any kind of way being an elf. I'm not a speciesist. I don't believe that elves are better in any kind of way. But I do believe that they represent almost a sadness, and Tolkien caught that because it's a sadness for the disregard for the way that we take care of the earth, and it's a sadness for the disregard of the way that we take care of each other. And so I believe that a lot of elven souls will feel very different from humans. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're against humans in any kind of way. It just means that they are noticing things about humanity that maybe others don't, or they don't care to say, or they don't care to notice, because maybe they're more interested in living their own lives and having their own kind of materialistic comforts. But an elven soul that won't really satisfy them. They'll be looking for something much more, and it really has to do with how we're treating the earth, how we're treating animals, and how we're treating one another. And I think that Tolkien's elves really demonstrate that a lot, that elves had a little bit of a, you know, almost like they've lost hope in humanity by the Third Age. They've seen what happens with the Ring of Power, that, and Elrond even said, he's like, why even help humanity? I've seen what they have done. When they had this chance to throw the ring in the fire, Isildur took it and he kept it for himself. And so that, I think, is something that I feel, and I came into the world feeling like that, and that's just something that makes me, I guess, unique, but I know that I'm not alone with that. So I hope that that explains a little bit more about why I say I don't feel completely human, but I know that I am not an animal, that I am definitely humanoid. Is there an elf gender? So somebody tweeted that, oh, well, she's an elf. She might not be female or male. Well, elves have genders. There's female and male elves, and there's a little bit of a mix. We see androgynous types of mixes of beings within the fairyland and within fairy stories. And even in Peter Jackson's depiction of the movies, you see that too, where some of the elves, they just kind of looked a little bit like they could be either female or male. You don't know for sure. And so I think that that is a really beautiful quality that the fairies and the elves have. And that's something that can maybe teach people about the gender spectrum that's going on, is that we never really are just two genders, but we have a combination of both within us, and it just depends how much more you have of one that determines the way that you look. And I believe that your consciousness is very in the know of what you're going to come into the world as, because part of the journey and the experience of life is our choosing. And I've seen that in my near-death experience. I've gotten a chance to come back, and I've also had a chance to kind of get a glimpse of the other sides and understand that we really are in this experience to watch ourselves create something and be our unique souls on earth. Am I denying my humanity was another one. No, I'm adding to it an expression and livelihood. So I am not denying that I'm not human, but it adds to my life. I mean, it's in the way that I decorate, it's in the way that I love to garden and be out in nature, it's in the way that I care for animals, and I'm a vegetarian now, and after so long of eating meat, I felt really bad about it, and I never liked it, but it was just about a fear for me. So it's in my livelihood. It's the way that I express myself daily, and I love it, and I think that it just enhances my experience of being a human. And I think that that's what other kins are experiencing, is when they feel like a cat or a dog, they can surround themselves with that type of expression, and it just kind of enhances your life, and it makes you very interesting in your interests and your hobbies and the way that you decorate your home and the way that you dress and things like that. So I don't think that I'm denying my humanity at all. I think that I'm expanding on it. And this one here, am I wearing my huge elf ears everywhere I go? So I have to tell you, the producers of the Good Morning Britain show, they asked me to wear it. They said, will you wear it? I'm like, okay, fine. And I felt a little bit like I had to at that point, but I also was just feeling like I was supposed to bring forth that identity. But I don't always wear my ears, and if you ever subscribe to my channel, you'll see that. I don't really feel the need to, and it really is about me taking on a certain identity at a time, and usually I will wear the ears when I'm doing kind of a video on talking about Tolkien's elves, so that I can take on that character and actually look like the elves of Tolkien there. And that is really how show business is. If you ever get to know an otherkin or Etherean, you will realize that they are truly human, and they are just like you, and they have a lot of interesting qualities to them, as you do too. And this idea that they're mentally ill really needs to go away, because that's not going to help us understand one another more and really kind of understand kind of the existential type of issue that is going on in the world. It's not really an issue. It's a really beautiful thing that's happening. It's the expansion of the self is happening in all sorts of individuals that are open to it and that are open to exploring themselves in that way. So I don't wear my ears all the time, but that's show business, and I feel that a lot of times that's kind of it's an obligation when you do those things, but don't think that I'm walking around like that at all times. I'm a smart elf. I know when to go all out and express myself in the way that I feel, but I'm not going to wear them all the time and everywhere. And there are some souls that can, and they're very brave. And I know one who did that surgery for $35,000, and he wears prosthetic ears, but he also got his ears tipped. And he really is really obsessed with surgery to bring him into that elven look. But elves can look like a lot of different things. There are so many elves from around the world. Who's to say that that is how an elf should look? That's his version of an elf. And you really don't have to spend a lot of money at all. I just hope that you realize that. And a lot of other kins and elvenkins and Therians, like, we really are very reasonable people that you could have a normal chat with, and you would be able to see that. And can elves have sex with humans? Well, Piers, I hope I answered your question there. Yes. If you knew a lot about Lord of the Rings, you would understand that Numenor was the Old Kingdom, and Aragorn was like the last of that line where they were a mix of elven blood mixed in with human blood. It's kind of the story of Enoch, like the fallen angel idea, mixing and making babies with humans. But I think that he took it to a positive place where, they're not fallen angels, they just were, the elves. And they taught them all the things that they needed to teach them, and that's why Aragorn had that special type of knowledge about plants. And they teach them how to make weapons and things like that. It's very interesting about Numenor. And actually, I'm going to be doing a video on Numenor because I found out that Tolkien was actually talking about Numenor as Atlantis. So that video will come up next, I think, or at least sometime soon. So I hope that this kind of clarified things for you, and I just felt like I wanted to do a follow-up video because I did not get a lot of airtime, and I just wanted to be really honest and truthful because I believe that that is the time that we're in, is transparency and total honesty with one another so that we can really get to know one another and understand each other, because for so long we've had such a division between one another that it's time to really show who we are. And I don't think that we should be ridiculed for who we show that we are, as long as it doesn't hurt others. So I just hope you understand that, I show respect to those that are not identifying with something else. And I just hope that you can show respect to me and to others that say that. But I just wanted to give a little bit more of a clarity on the idea that I am not trans species. Never said that. But of course, show business is show business, and it always gets the ratings up when you have a buzzword like that. So welcome any new subscribers who want to take a chance and subscribe to my channel and learn the ways of the elves. And I will see you all in the next video. So Henenley, and I'll see you.